It was supposed to be a simple journey, filled with laughter and joy, but as the world around us turned to chaos, the echo of screeching tires and terrified screams still haunt me. The moment the tanker truck loomed in front of us, I realized this Christmas would change everything. As I sit here in the quiet of the hospital room, staring at the white walls, I can't help but recall the events leading up to that fateful day. My name is Stunned, and what I'm about to share is not just a story, but a painful memory etched into my soul. It was 2 weeks before Christmas, and our home in Lagos buzzed with excitement. My father, Mr. John, was busy packing the car for our annual trip to the village in Oyo State. My mother, Uche, was bustling around the kitchen, preparing snacks and meals, her heart full of joy. This would be our first Christmas back home after 2 long years. The fresh air, the big trees, and endless fun with my cousins awaited us. Or so we thought. "Don't forget to pray before we leave," Mama always said as she knelt by the sofa, her voice soft but firm. But Papa, always the skeptic, would wave her off, laughing as if her concern for our safety was nothing but superstition. God knows we're traveling. Why waste time praying? I had often wondered why the two of them disagreed about prayer. Mama would pray even when we expressed our boredom, while Papa dismissed it with a chuckle. As the excitement pulsed through our house, I felt a slight heaviness in the air, a nagging sense that something was off. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Papa pulled the car out from the driveway. It looked like the classic family wagon that had taken us to countless adventures before. Bags were piled high with clothes and gifts, leaving just enough space for us to squeeze in. The scent of Mama's snacks filled the air. "Let's go," we all cheered, our joy palpable. But what we didn't know was how ill-prepared we were for what lay ahead. Upon reaching the park to catch a bus to the village, an old woman stood by the roadside, her frail figure wrapped in a colorful cloth. I remember how Papa slowed down the car to let her in. Her dark, tired eyes found mine for just a second, and I shivered involuntarily. "You shouldn't travel this Christmas. It's dangerous," she said in a voice that felt like a low rumble of thunder. Papa just chuckled, brushing her warning aside. I felt a twinge of unease, but the chatter of the family around me pushed the feeling away. The following days were a blur of laughter and excitement, but Mama never stopped praying. Whenever she called us for family prayers, Papa would snort in distaste, as if praying before a journey was an inconvenience. Just before we were set to leave, Mama gathered us in the living room. "Let's pray, my family," she urged, her eyes glistening with worry. That's when everything started to go wrong. "What's wrong with the car?" Papa exclaimed when the engine refused to start. Panic set in. He called a mechanic, who delivered the crushing blow. "The engine is gone, the car isn't going anywhere." I watched as Mama remained calm. Her faith was like a steady anchor as Papa, frustrated, repacking our bags for the bus. "Let's just go, the village is waiting," he insisted, brushing off her concern again. On board the bus, the excitement bubbled back. I felt a mix of dread and anticipation gnawing at my gut. As we prepared to start our journey, Mama stood up again. "Let's pray," she urged, and this time, some passengers obliged, their eyes closing, while others snickered. Papa shot her a furious look but murmured not a word. Then the bus roared to life, and we were off. The journey unfolded, seemingly normal at first, but I couldn't shake that feeling of unease. As the scenery rushed past, the excitement began to fade. The sound of the bus engine became a lullaby, and I drifted off to sleep. It seemed like just seconds later when the driver's frantic shout pierced through my dreams, "The brakes! The brakes aren't working!" Panic surged among the passengers, screams erupted, and I felt myself jolting awake, grabbing my little sister, Adesewa, close to me. Time slowed down as the driver struggled to steer clear of oncoming traffic. My heart raced as I realized we were headed straight for a massive tanker truck. I could feel the panic rising in my chest, sending a cold shiver down my spine. "Mama!" I shouted, but the sound of screeching tires drowned my voice. Then came the deafening crash. When I opened my eyes again, I was lying on my back, confusion clouding my mind. Glass shards glistened like diamonds around me, and the smell of gasoline filled the air. A wave of agony surged through my leg, and I looked down to find it trapped beneath a crumpled seat. "Mama! Adesawa!" I screamed, but my voice sounded distant, losing itself in the chaos around me. I managed to push myself up with sheer force of will and saw my mother kneeling beside a lifeless body. Panic and disbelief filled me. "No, no, no!" I sobbed, crawling toward her. But before I could reach her, a figure emerged through the haze, a rescue worker, calmly assessing the wreckage. "Stay still. Help is coming," he shouted, and for a brief moment, I felt a flicker of hope. In the hospital, I was propped up in bed, the fluorescent lights buzzing around me like angry bees. I could hardly move, pain shot through my leg at every slight movement. But worse was the emptiness in my heart. My family, where were they? Through the haze of pain, I could barely make out the sound of Momo's voice praying beside me, her tears streaming down her face. "Lord, please spare my children," she cried out, and each desperate plea hit me hard. It wasn't until the old woman from the road appeared, a knowing look in her eyes, that the pieces started to come together. She spoke to my father, and I slowly pieced together the truth of what had happened. Our stepmother, Mama Amoka, and her jealousy had sought to harm us. What I had once considered a mere superstition now bore the weight of my family's suffering. If it hadn't been for Momo's constant prayers, we may not have survived at all. From that day on, I watched my father transform. Recovering from his injuries, he learned the importance of faith and prayer. I saw him kneel beside Mama every morning, thanking God for saving us. Our village was a distant memory, a place we feared to return to until the darkness of that Christmas passed. The story of our misfortunes became a cautionary tale in communities all around, a reminder that the power of God, through prayer, can overcome evil intentions. Years later, I returned to the village with gratitude in my heart, honoring those we had lost. We may have survived that fateful day, but the scars run deep. As the sun sets on our lives, from the blood and chaos of that awful crash emerges resilience and the recognition that prayer is not merely a tradition, it is a fortress against dark forces. So, as we prepare to travel this December, let my story remind you, never overlook the power of a simple prayer. Thank you for listening, and I hope you've learned something from this tale. Please like this video, share your thoughts, and subscribe to Legends Unleashed African for more stories like mine.